Ultimate abilities are the pinnacle of a character's skill, turning the tide of a fight with the press of a button. Fairly self-explanatory. Depending on the game, these can range from a minor buff to yourself for a set duration, to selecting the enemy team and dropping them in the recycling bin. Either way, it's value. Marvel Rivals has its fair share of tide-turning ultimates, but our focus for this video is Peni Parker. A quick rundown of Peni's ult. Upon activation, Peni extends 2 claws from her back, puts slightly more effort into running. She also gets a handful of mines to toss, releases the same drones her nest produces, and gets a decent amount of temporary shields. This is fine, but this and only this because apparently she's so focused on the idea of they can't stop us all, to realize that she's the only one that showed up to the base. Once you're an ult, all of your abilities are locked and there's no cancelling it. Usually, if the ult locks you out of your abilities for a duration, it's giving you something of equal or greater value, but when it comes to Peni's ult, it's disappointing. Before I tell you why, let me actually explain her ult. Once activated, Peni has 12 seconds where she can run around while laying down her webs and setting mines, and while she can't shoot anymore, she has her claws to deal damage at displaced enemies. These 12 seconds, paired with the speed boost she gets, let her travel quite far. Unfortunately, her claws don't deal a lot of damage, so they only serve to clear the way or to focus down a lone support who doesn't use comms. Side note, these claws hitbox is strictly in front of Peni. You can't aim it with your mouse, so do your best to orient Peni. Anyway, after your ult ends, you'll typically end up in the middle of the enemy team, and while Peni has her tether to escape, the fickleness of level ground slinging isn't helped by enemy CC and a big target. More often than not, you'll use the latter half of your duration to run back to safety. Moving along, Peni gets 7 mines she can throw during her ult. These are not tied to her default maximum count of irregular mines. As for the damage, each one does 100 damage, so for most of the cast, it's going to take 3 mines to kill. Along with the mines, Peni releases spider drones from her current position. These do small amounts of damage individually. However, you can pair her nest with the ult to get more of these drones running down the track, is what you might have thought, but the tracking when it comes to the webs from Peni's ult doesn't make sense. As you can see, despite these stationary targets appearing to stand on the webs, the drones and their lawyers argue technicalities. But I understand why you thought they would track. I mean, how many videos are out there showing off the range of irregular snares? But back on point, you can use her ult to quickly set up mines further up after a team fight. Not my idea, and that's probably the best use for it. Otherwise, hoping the enemy team is scared of someone shouting. My first idea, I say my because I'm not on any discussion forums or Discord servers dedicated to these balancing hypotheticals, and I don't think it takes a genius to come up with these, is to just overclock her suit and letting her spam abilities. Like I said, doesn't take a genius. But the idea is just to boost her mobility and go crazy with the mines. That's it. The second one, and I'm very fond of this one, is where Peni sets down a web akin to her nest and spreads an array of mines in said area. Whether or not Peni still produces drones from her location is something for balancing, but I can see this serving her and her team better when it comes to holding space. Or, if you want to dive into the enemy supports and delete them, then have at it. And since the mines only do 100 damage, it'll mostly be up to the enemy tank to sweep and clear the field. And while it only takes 3 mines to take out most everyone else, the dispersion of mines will keep it from being an instant on its own. And for the final point about this I wanted to bring up, Peni's nest does cover a significant amount of space with line of sight restrictions. If you, for some reason, tried to use her current ult to hold a circle of space, you get a little bit more deceptive space. So, regarding how big the web should be, I don't know. Since it still pairs with her nest, it could be more or less oppressive depending on how much setup time she has. In the end, this is just me throwing out an idea I found interesting, and while the likelihood of this getting anywhere above a fan concept meant for discussion is incredibly unlikely, I still wanted to throw this out there for people to have fun creating, critiquing, and overall just sharing the things they might think are cool. So, if you think this is an interesting idea, or think there's some things that could change with it. Even if nothing's gonna really happen, I'd still appreciate if you let me know in the comments. And if you think someone else might enjoy talking about this, or overall just maybe hearing about it, then share this with someone you think might enjoy it. In any case, thank you for giving me a moment of your time. I hope you have a good day.